So I want to talk about a topic that most people in the United States are not aware of. It's the fact that Nicolas Maduro, the tyrant of Venezuela, is literally exporting criminals to the United States. And these criminals are wreaking havoc and destruction in cities such as New York and Denver. This isn't some kind of lie created by right-wing media or a crazy YouTuber making claims. No, this has already been featured in liberal media. Here's CNN. This is a dangerous Venezuelan gang infiltrating the US that you probably know nothing about, but should. And NBC News, Ghost Criminals, how Venezuelan gang members are slipping into the US. So you have CNN and NBC News already reporting on this, and if the liberal or left-leaning media reports on something that makes the Biden-Harris record on the border look bad, you know it's much worse in real life. Let's start from the beginning to explain why this is happening and how. The why is very simple. There used to be a lot of criminality in Venezuela, but somehow it has been dropping dramatically in the past couple of years, reportedly due to migration. We see this article by Bloomberg. Venezuela's violent deaths fall to 22-year low on migration. We're talking about the lowest numbers of violent deaths since 2001. And to put it in perspective, that was the era of the Nokia 3310. Now, in the past 10 years, millions of Venezuelans have left the country. I am one of them. But not every one of us are criminals that cause violent deaths. That is a tiny part of those people going out. But that tiny part belongs to this very dangerous gangs, and one of those gangs is called Tren de Aragua, the train of Aragua. Even the FBI has already warned since the start of this year that these Venezuelan gangs were teaming up with other gangs to start by stealing phones in New York City. And you might say, well, stealing a phone is not that much of a big deal, right? How bad can it be? The problem is that this has escalated to full-blown violence in Denver, Colorado, and other cities. Literally shooting cops, being apprehended and then released, only to repeat the cycle. Like Henry Brito, a Venezuelan national who is in the United States illegally, was arrested in New York City after he led a violent attack against a pair of cops. He was released on bail shortly after, and well, he was just arrested again for a string of thefts. And who could have seen this coming? Now, I sometimes make these claims on X and I get attacks from people saying that I'm lying, that how could I know all of this? Well, I know for a fact that this is a great strategy from Maduro, and it takes a lot for me to say that Maduro has a great strategy. The Tren de Aragua is called the Train of Aragua because there was a project in Aragua State in Venezuela some years ago where they had planned this train. For many years, we saw these structures being built, these huge pillars and railways being constructed. Spoiler alert, the project was abandoned. That never materialized. There was a really big budget, and part of that budget went to form a colectivo. Colectivos, which I have mentioned in other videos, are organized gangs that the Maduro narco-tyranny uses against unarmed civilians as a first-tier line of terror. They wreak havoc on civilians, and we saw them in videos in the recent elections. It's like Venezuela's military is controlled from within, but Maduro doesn't need to use the military even if it's controlled. He just sends the colectivos. If colectivos kill anybody, that can be just attributed to common crime. Now, there's a real problem. We don't have elections all the time. The government doesn't really have use for colectivos most of the time, so the colectivos need to make money to subsist. And if you have guns, and you need money, and you lack a moral compass, then there's a really quick route between yourself and the money that you need. But these are not just regular gangs. These are what we call mega gangs. And yeah, that sounds like an electronic band from the 90s. But no, mega gangs, in this case, are ruled by one single guy inside a Venezuelan prison, Tocoron, which is in Aragua. In this case, the Tren de Aragua, which is dangerous enough, it is much easier for Maduro to say, hey, you know what? There's too much crime in Venezuela and gangs like Tren de Aragua are doing whatever they please. I cannot afford this because they are attacking my own people. They are attacking even the people who are pro-Maduro. So what he came up with in this case was to fly them to the US border and make them infiltrate the United States. They have already gone to other countries like Colombia and Chile, but the United States was something else, and with so many people crossing the Darien jungle and the Rio Grande, they could just sneak in. Understand this from a budget perspective. It's much easier to just put them on a plane and send them to the United States than trying to control them in Venezuela or trying to feed them inside the prisons. In the long run, it is much better to just send them to the United States, with the added benefit that when they arrive at cities like New York City, the Biden-Harris administrations change immigration rules to let them in. And we have this. New York Democrats give the ones that come to New York City free housing and services at our expense, even after they are arrested for a crime. This is something that is actually happening. Nobody is making this up. We already saw the example of Yohendri Brito, and some of them, and you might recognize this guy, are spreading info on social media about how Venezuelans or any other nationality who has entered the United States illegally can squat houses, take advantage of the government's money, and many other free perks in sanctuary cities. We have this New York Post headline: Venezuelan gang smuggles guns into New York City migrant shelters in food delivery bags, accused coup shooter admits. Another one: Venezuelan gang Trendaragua is terrorizing New York City with mob-riding phone thefts after member lured a cop to his death in Miami. Wow. And another: after crossing border, dangerous gang members found in New York and New Jersey. Guess where they come from? And in Colorado, Venezuelan prison gang that gave green light to attack law enforcement operating in Colorado's Front Range. You could be asking, okay, why can't the United States deport them back to Venezuela? We put them on a flight and that's it. Well, the funny thing is that since February of this year, Maduro has blocked flights of deported migrants from US and Mexico. So if the United States is planning on deporting, at least on the Biden-Harris administration, these criminals to Venezuela, Maduro is not going to let those flights or ships in. And you might be asking, okay, Maduro sent these people to the US border. Who exactly let them in? And the answer couldn't be easier. Kamala Harris, the border czar, who has been border czar since March 2021. So why did I make this video? I made this video for a very, very funny reason, because last night, in one of the interviews with the largest organic audience in the history of social networks between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, with more than 1 million audience and more than 1 billion views so far, they just brought to the table how Maduro is sending thousands of Venezuelan criminals to the US. So many people would say, oh, that is just a lie. That is not happening. This is just something made up between Trump and Musk to stir up racism with made-up things. It is not made up. Because as I told you from the start, this has been reported even in the liberal media. Even CNN is acknowledging something that makes Kamala Harris look dangerously incompetent. That is how bad this has become. And in the latest developments, there's a video where Kamala Harris now pledges to release all criminal illegal migrants from detention centers in the United States on day one if she is installed into the Oval Office. Her words, not mine, not Donald Trump's or not Elon Musk's. Those are her words.
I want to know, when you become president, would you be committing to close immigration detention centers?
Absolutely, on day one.
And the key word is into the United States. So it's as easy as that. If you want this to keep happening, all you have to do is to vote for Kamala Harris. You will keep that border open to all these wonderful people coming to the United States to do as they please, while they are given housing, money, and yes, sometimes be apprehended but released shortly after, because, well, I don't have an answer to that. But I'd love to know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Body Language Guy. Much love and bliss.